Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service. Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positive vibes here on the show, and with me right now I've got a very special guest. He has worked for WCW as well as the USWA and Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Pleased to welcome the one, the only, Rob Kellum, a.k.a. the Maestro. Welcome, Rob, to Wrestling with Heart.
Thank you for having me. I hope you're doing well.
Yes, hope you are as well. So, you're from North Carolina, is that right?
Yes. I was from a military family, but I moved around a lot. But North Carolina has pretty much been the home base.
All right, okay. So, military family. What was it like traveling a lot?
It was crazy. My dad was in the Vietnam War, he's a veteran, and uh, you know, he moved around a bit with my mother until they settled down finally in Jacksonville, North Carolina. And I have brothers also in different that been in different branches of the service, as well as my aunt being in the Air Force as well. So kind of
Okay,
runs in the family. I used to wrestle for the Marines actually.
really?
For Yeah, I wrestled the Marines out at Camp Lejeune.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
All right. Well, was wrestling always something you had watched as a kid?
Oh, absolutely. Since I was knee high to a grasshopper per se. um, my actually my grandfolks got me into it. My grandma and grandpa got me into it because they were like they were like diehard fans. They were so into the wrestling programs. They would rearrange furniture at times. It was always animated, but I've always had a deep love for the wrestling business, and it just grew as I grew. So,
Who were some of your favorites growing up to watch?
gosh, so many. I gosh, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, the Funks, Briscoes, Harley Race, uh, the Roddy Piper, Greg Valentine, and a whole host of others. Luthez, um, Buddy Rogers, from back in the day. Which I got to see more of his older matches later on, and just a lot of I would watch like different programs like Championship Wrestling in Florida, Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling, World Class Championship Wrestling in Texas, um, the old school WWF at the time, which is now we know WWE, and um, the different territories with the systems, and would have television programming where I get a chance. Sometimes I would watch others that every once in a while through different special programming, or like keeping up with the wrestling magazines. I was a big collector of the wrestling magazines at the time, and
Which one was your
uh,
favorite?
oh gosh, well, of course, Pro Wrestling Illustrated was pretty much the main deal, but I always liked the Wrestler as well. The Wrestler was really cool, and you got to see. Uh, we didn't have like the internet back then, or uh, pay-per-views or anything like PLEs like we do now. But that was our chance to keep in touch with the feuds and what's going on with the industry around the world, and keep in touch internationally too with the wrestling overseas as well. So
Yeah, I mean, before social media, the magazines were just a great platform to educate fans about what's happening, and they talked about the hot angles and some of the stars coming up on the rise. I mean, it's really incredible. And you North Carolina was such a hotbed for wrestling because Flair and all these people, uh, Harley Race, the Funks. You had mentioned those guys really cut their teeth in there, and um, so many other people. But getting to watch those matches on television really was appointment television.
Oh, absolutely. And it's later on, as I got older, got getting to meet some of the greats I just mentioned, and then some. Uh, like I remember one of the first matches I saw live was Ivan Koloff and Rocky Johnson, and that was really cool. And got to see. I, back then, one of my favorite tag teams was Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody, which I used to name Bruiser Brody Blackbeard because I had a love for pirates back then, and he reminded me of the fable of Blackbeard. The story of Blackbeard, and uh, I remember shouting out to a match one time and calling him Blackbeard. He got a kick out of it. Actually, that was kind of cool.
That's funny.
But good times.
That's
But
great.
yeah, I was going to tell you, I got to meet Andre the Giant years ago, and first time meeting Andre, he just pulled up in a car. He had this like the sunroof, right, and his head was like above the sunroof. I mean, he was
It's
huge.
larger than life.
Oh my gosh! And I guess it wasn't long after he did the taping for the $6 Million Man taping Lee Majors, and which later on, like years later, when I got to meet Lee Majors, we talked about that, and meeting Andre because Andre played the Bionic Sasquatch at the time, and well, anyway, he's coming out of the car, right, and he's walking towards me, and I swear to you, I've seen so many big guys in my lifetime, but he's still the biggest human being I've ever seen in my life. And he was coming up towards me, and for the first time in my life, then he was the first human I thought was going to eat me. Seriously, I mean, he was very intimidating. And Dusty, Dusty Rhodes came up at the time, and he came over and was trying to break the ice. Right? He was, hey kid, don't worry about thing. Andre's cool. Say hello, Andre, Big Daddy. And Andre puts his big hand down to where I'm at, and this is how do you do, right? And I go to shake his hand, and my hand disappears, right? Because his hand is so huge, and I'm looking at him, fine, sir. And oh my god, but he was the nicest guy, right? Nicest guy, but you would never know to look at him at first. But I was so happy he was a nice guy. But I mean, words can't describe how big. I mean, literally, he was larger than life.
And he really transcended the business. You talked about being in movies. He was also in The Princess Bride, another classic, but definitely somebody that fans still remember to this day as one of the true titans of our industry. And so, yeah, getting to meet him, that's so cool. Especially at that time because he was at the tail end of his career. And I know you got your start in 1990, made your debut. The training process, I'd imagine, was hard getting into wrestling. Talk to me about your experience.
Oh well, at the time, I was collegiate wrestling at the time, and also I was part of the freestyle Greco-Roman circuit for the USA freestyle Greco team. And we got opportunity to wrestle like some teams that would come overseas, like the West Germans and so forth. And I thought I was in shape trying out pro wrestling. You know what I mean? And I kind of kept it separate because I didn't want one to know about the other at the time. And I was lean and mean. I thought I was in shape, but I'm telling you, when the tryouts came, and you had like people from all walks of life, like football players and all different backgrounds try out, and I was sucking wind just like everybody else. I was blowed up, gassed, and then they stuck me in the ring. And I tell you, I was broke in by one of the arguably at his in his time one of the greatest junior heavyweights ever with the National Wrestling Alliance, Nelson Royal, Cowboy Nelson Royal,
Hmm.
Gene Anderson, with Ole and Lars, the original Minnesota Wrecking Crew, and then Arn joined the fray later, and then Ivan Koloff actually had a school across town from where I was at, because I was in Mooresville, or Statesville, North Carolina at the time, and his school was on the other side of Charlotte, like Indian Trail, and so back to the tryout, right? So they stick me in the ring, right, and I remember the guy I'm in the ring with. We're getting ready to go, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? I've never pro wrestled a day in my life, and Gene Anderson was like, "Wrestle, kid," right? So I remember throwing the most god awful drop kick I've ever seen in my life. I just like threw my legs up in the air, and it looked like crap. I mean, and Gene was like, "No, kid, wrestle," and then the light bulb came on in my head, right? So, I did the takedown, and a bow and arrow cradle him and the pin him. And the other guys gave the guy that I was in the ring with a hard time because I just went to shooter mode, and but from that point on, I mean, my gosh, I learned so much. I mean, we would watch videotapes. I remember watching tapes of Johnny Valentine and Chief Wahoo McDaniel, who I had the honor of being in the ring with Wahoo early in my career. And I learned a lot from Wahoo. I mean, he taught me a lot. Some of the things he taught me, like he taught Ric Flair years ago as well, and which I told Rick about it like later on, years later. And that was really cool.
What were some things that Wahoo taught you that still apply to you to this day that you can recall?
Well, Wahoo was really good on like psychology, and which some names I'll throw at you later on that I learned a lot about psychology as well. And Wahoo was, he was a master making those little things mean a lot. And and he's got like tons of athletic experience. I mean, played for the New York Jets back in the day, and he's got a jersey. I even saw his jersey that had Wahoo on it. It was really cool. And
Nice.
um, but yeah, he was very giving. He helped out a lot of us in the industry, and I remember being on the road with him. Right, and I love to hear him tell road stories and everything. And I remember it was like my first match with Wahoo, uh, and we're going at it. And let me tell you, he's got those like big Indian hands. I mean, he'll chop you in tomorrow. My gosh, so the hamburger, and I had for dinner looked a lot like my chest. After he got through with it, right? And I remember during that part of the match I had with him, I lifted him up in a vertical suplex, right? And after the match, right, I'm sitting there, I'm lacing my boots. Wahoo comes up, sits down beside me, shakes his head, and said, "You know, I haven't been suplexed like that since Harley Race." And that's how we broke the ice and got to be friends. And I learned so much from Wahoo. I really miss him to this day. He was a good, really, really, he was good people. Like I said, if he liked you, he would get a shirt off his back for you. I mean, that's the way he was.
It's very important to establish those relationships early on because the trainers and the other wrestlers, they're able to help guide you along in your career, and it seemed like Wahoo was just a great mentor and helped you out along the way. And you got to make your debut, started working in Smoky Mountain Wrestling in Tennessee. What was it like working there?
Oh man, that was, I wrestled independently for a couple years before going to Smoky Mountain Wrestling, but Smoky Mountain Wrestling was not my first legit like territory, or get my sink my teeth in the territory where I could learn, being in the learning tree, learn from the veterans, and being part of a new era of young talent trying to make a name for themselves. I mean, uh, like Chris Jericho, Lance Storm, the Thrill Seekers at the time were doing their thing. Um, Bobby Blaze, Taz, Brian Clark, Night Stalker, you know, Primetime Brian Lee, and a host of others. And then you had the veterans like Dr. Tom Pritchard, Tracy Smothers, Stan Lane, Rock and Roll Express, Jim Cornette. I mean, Kevin Sullivan and Arn Anderson would come in every now and then, and Paul Orndorff and Rodney Garvin. I mean, it was like the intermediate liaison between WWE and WCW and ECW at the time. So it was really a good chance to learn about the business and learn from arguably the best of the industry.
And you start putting the fundamentals together. You also got to work in Memphis during that time as well. What was it like working there?
Well, I started Memphis through Larry Booker, who was one of the Moondogs at the time, and he helped break the ice for me to Jarrett and Lawler and Bill Dundee at the time, and Bill and I had a mutual friend named William Regal. Um, and and it's funny because that was kind of like time period where I found out of my roots and my lineage, if you're in the wrestling industry, right? Because I had William Regal and Dusty, and then a host of others telling me my style and mannerisms in the ring reminded them of the original Gorgeous George, right? And it just kept snowballing and snowballing. And finally, I went to my granddad one day, who was out. He lived that time out in Oklahoma, and I said, Grandpa, I'm getting all these comparisons to Gorgeous George, right? And he just steps back and he looks at me and he says, "You didn't know?" And I'm like, "Didn't know what?" And Grandpa smartens me up, tells me that Gorgeous George was my granduncle, and they were like at boxing buddies back in the day before he broke into business. And I'm like, holy cow! And it inspired me to don the name Gorgeous George III in honor and homage to him. And that's how I first started getting the Gorgeous George III persona out there, was with Memphis, and which I couldn't ask to be in a better territory to start that out.
That's so
And
incredible.
I mean, being being in the ring with Jerry Lawler, the Mid South Coliseum, I mean, I had goosebumps because I mean, like the who's who of the industry has been there. The Andy Kaufman feud with Lawler. I mean, they all started at the Coliseum, and you had Hulk Hogan there, Terry Funk, and Macho Man Randy Savage, and like I said, the who's who, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and at the time, I was part of a Freebirdish clique team, if you will, faction of myself, former NWA World Champion Tommy Wildfire Rich, and Doug Gilbert, and we had a feud going on at PG-13, which was great. Matter of fact, we got the main event, Mid South Coliseum, in the hair versus hair match, and which that was very rare because at the time the main event nod would always go to guys like Jerry the King Lawler or Bill Dundee and so forth. So to get that honor was it was pretty big. And you had Brian Christopher. I had some good matches with him, and at the time WWE was working with USWA and exchanging talent and everything. So the Undertaker would show up, and Bob Backlund, and I got the team with Scott Hall when he was Razor Ramon, and and the rest was Sid Vicious, and Vader came a few times. It was really cool because it paved the way then as well to later on, which I they got me a tryout actually with WWE at the time, and which Chris Benoit and I tried out together, and he has a match, his tryout match with Owen Hart, which was amazing, and I had my tryout match with Scotty Riggs, who Scotty was with me pretty previously in Memphis, USWA, and um, but yeah, the Memphis territory was it was what great learning experience, and we hit 5 states a week, seems like, and no matter where the heck we're at Friday, we had to be in Memphis TV that Saturday. So we would roll in Memphis TV that morning, Channel 5, and we're all like tired, beat, you know. But I remember going through a couple cars during that time because of all the traveling and everything, and it was uh, like Mondays we're in the Mid South Coliseum, then Tuesdays and was in Louisville Gardens, Louisville, Kentucky, then Evansville, Indiana on Wednesdays. Then the Thursday and Friday towns were optional between Missouri and Arkansas and Mississippi, right?
It's a
I wouldn't say
cycle.
Missouri. Yeah, I forget Missouri. I meant Mississippi, but Arkansas and all that. But no matter where the heck we were at that Friday, we had to be in Memphis TBS Saturday morning. So we're like coming in like zombies that morning, and
Well, it's
well,
it,
it was
it's
a
a
good time.
grind. Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
it's a grind, and you have to really condition yourself and discipline yourself to be ready and be prepared for anything because this is it's hard, but if you love what you do and are passionate about it, you can go far. And you got to work so many different places. Eventually, you
right.
make it to WCW. How did the gimmick of the Maestro come about?
Well, the journey to get to WCW full time rather was interesting one. Now I had did different spot shows off and on in prior years with WCW. Before contractually I started with him as Maestro. Like in between off and on bit with WCW and doing the different territories, and I had I just completed. Well, I was in Puerto Rico at the time, wrestling for Carlos Colon, WWC, Carlito's dad, by the way. And I got a call from Randy Savage, Macho Man Randy Savage. I'm sitting in the condo there in San Juan, and my roommate was Val Venus at the time, Sean Morley. And Sean gets the call, right? And he's holding the phone. I'm watching the E channel at the time, and Sean is like, "It's for you." I'm like, "Who is it?" Right? And he said, "It's Randy Savage." And he really talks like that. Like, really? I know he's ribbing me, right? It's like, come on. So I grabbed the phone and I'm like, "Hello?" And I said, "Hey, how you doing? This is Randy. We like to bring you down, see what you got. I heard about you to Jerry Jarrett. He said, spoke highly of you. Yeah, So Jerry Jarrett put in a good word for me to Randy and Hogan, right? And so because Jerry liked me at the time. Jerry he had a thing for guys with different backgrounds, like wrestling backgrounds, right? So they got me a plane ticket up to a Nitro. I think it was in Virginia, in which I got to meet. I mean, it was first class all the way, limo. I got to meet Hogan, Savage, and Big Show at the time. He was a giant. I remember him high fiving me and almost tore my hand off. Big guy on his own strength, right? Like a big kid. But yeah, he was a really cool guy. And uh, then, they introduced me to Eric Bischoff. And at the time, that tryout match that night was with Jeff Farmer, who ends up does the NWO Sting. And we had a good match and everything, but it just, nothing really came of it, more or less. And the thing was, they were wanting to bring me in, but at like my permission to use my name for Landy Poffo, which I was cool with it because I had a lot of respect for Landy and I knew he could do well with the name, and they were going to bring me in under a new deal, but neither deal fell through for some reason. So I just went back to doing what I've been doing, Gorgeous George third, and I went to Mexico for AAA with Jake Snake Roberts, and that the Lucha Libre capital, if you will, and I which was which was really great because I got to be in the ring, work with the luchadors down there, and work with their style, and which that really helped me greatly for later on through my WCW run. More, because you had a lot of international flavor in WCW,
Mm-hmm.
and having that overseas experience, um, tremendously helped me out. Because if I didn't have that overseas experience and being in the ring and knowing the styles, a lot of the guys there at the time, I guess basically when WCW was going full force, they had arguably the best of the best from all over the world.
They really did. They had Juventud Guerrera, they had Billy Kidman, they had Rey Mysterio, they had Chavo Guerrero, they had all these, oh man, so many different talents that were wrestling there at that time. And they had Shane Helms as well as another one. So many people down there working this style. It was really special and unique. And I
Right.
feel like it made WCW really stand out during that era.
I've known Shane for a long time. Oh my gosh. Uh Man, oh gosh, our paths have crossed quite a few times over the years. And I'm really happy for him now, what he's doing, helping out that next generation and kind of scenes. And what he's done with Logan Paul has been phenomenal. It's just been amazing. And all the talent he's helped there. I mean, it shows. I mean, Shane's always been a top notch talent and always had a deep love for the business. I mean, I remember back when he was refereeing, starting out as being a referee, right?
Hmm.
And I tell you, he was more animated than the guys, the wrestlers, right? I mean, oh my God, I just knew he was destined to be a wrestler. He was destined, and man, what a name he's made for himself. And I couldn't be more happy for him. I mean, Shane's good people.
Hmm. Yeah, so they put you together with um, Symphony, Alicia Webb.
Right.
How did that pairing come about?
Well, the story to get there was I was brought back for a second tryout after my run with AAA. Jake and I got the main event Triple Mania, which is their equivalent of WrestleMania there in Mexico, and so I got back to Mexico and did a couple of Texas wrestling shots. Got being in the ring with the old school world class guys, championship wrestling, Black Bart, Wild Bill Irwin, Lance Von Erich, and so I got the call to get Randy wanted to give me another tryout match. He talked with Eric, and so they flew me out of Texas, and I had a second tryout match, which was with Chavo Guerrero Jr., which I couldn't be any happier because I had a lot of respect for the Guerrero family, and which we used to pray together for matches and everything, and which we had a tremendous match. I mean, Chavo just top notch all the way, and I couldn't have been happier. And after the match, a lot of the boys put it over really good. And Dallas Page said, he's like as far as my work goes, it was like light years compared to what he saw my first tryout match, and the agents walked in right, and they were happy about it, but they get their little take on different things in the match, and you didn't know who to believe, right? You got all these agents saying different stories in your head, and I just resorted back to what my grandpa would always tell me: always know who the boss is, right? So Eric Bischoff walks in. He looks at us as a good match, guys, and he looked at me and said, you know, we can use a good talent like you. Welcome aboard. And no sooner he said that, all the agents changed their tune, right? It's like, oh, great match. That was tremendous, right? And I knew right then, okay, if I had a problem, I knew who the boss is. All right. And I walked out there, and the boys were ready to shake my hand, welcome me in the company. It was the greatest feeling in the world. And so that started the process with WCW. And then later on, um, Randy Savage wanted to give the Gorgeous George name to his new valet at the time, Stephanie Bellers. And so I was perplexed. I was like, well, gosh, where am I going to fit in all this, right? Because I still wanted to do something for the company, but I didn't want to be like left out in the cold, if you will. So once again, I knew who the boss was, Eric, Mr. Bischoff. So I had a meeting with him, and we started talking. And sure enough, that's where the Maestro was born, which my Maestro is kind of like a culmination of my theatrical experiences, because I was in theater years ago in different plays like Hamlet, Shakespeare, Cats on Broadway, you know.
Were you a
But
singer? Did you like doing all that stuff? Did you like dancing as well? Was that
oh, performing, yeah, I love performing. It was tremendous, and it got me my first trip to New York when I was younger at the time, and um, but I love performing, whether it be doing theatrical plays in the theater or in the church. I was like Moses and the Ten Commandments and everything, which I don't know if I did as good as Charlton Heston did, but I mean, I did my best.
what has been your favorite musical or play of all time? Your favorite production?
Oh man, Macbeth was a really good one, and I was the king that got betrayed in Macbeth.
Ooh,
Yeah, it was
very
a very
interesting
interesting,
role.
very interesting story. Yeah, so so that's when the Maestro was born, and I had two picks I wanted to manage me at the time. Two people I wanted to manage me uh, originally. One was Bobby Heenan, Bobby the Brain Heenan, in which Bobby wanted. He was interested, but at the time he had an injury and he was doing commentary. He was wrapped up in all that. So the other one was Sherry Martel, in which I really looked up to Sherry, respected Sherry a lot, and I've seen how much he's helped some of the other talents of the wrestlings. My buddies Harlem Heat wrote, and Shawn Michaels and so forth. So and Sherry almost had the gig, but this office decided to go with Alicia Webb Symphony, who was original. Before then she was known as Rand Shamrock, WWE, and which she was a sweetheart to work with. I mean, so such a nice lady, and I was very honored, that we could work together. And I mean, we just played off each other so well. She would tell jokes, we'd laugh, and I remember going shopping in the malls with her and Leo Meow, Kimona, uh, and she was another fun lady to be around. We always had fun, and just it just breaks the monotony of being on the road and everything, and I have a lot of fun. And but yeah, Alicia was great. I can't say enough good about Alicia. She was wonderful.
Yeah. Now, you gotten to work so many different opponents over the course of your career. Who have been some of your favorite wrestlers that you got to wrestle against? Who are some of your favorite opponents that you got to work with over the years?
Oh my gosh, been so many. I know before WCW, I had some great series of matches with Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam and I really had a lot of good chemistry. There's certain guys in the industry that you just have good chemistry with and great magic with. And, like you had the Steamboat and the Flares. And even though Brett and Sean didn't really get along, they'd get in the ring and just have masterpieces. And uh, Rob Van Dam was my dude. man, he was incredible. The Barbarian, we had some wild matches. I mean, it was like rodeo riding with him. Well, his falls count anywhere matches and everything, and he was great. Uh, Ernest the Cat Miller was really always entertaining, and the bit we did with James Brown was incredible. But had some good matches with Buff Bagwell. Um, Norman Smiley was another great talent, and what a nice human being too. Norman's good people also. Um, but yeah, I mentioned Jerry Lawler earlier. We had some good matches, um, and like some of the matches I had in Mexico was really good. This Octagon was great to be with Perro Guayo, legendary Perro Guayo. It was an honor to be in the ring with him. And you had Terry Funk, Ric Flair, and all the greats there in WCW. Roddy Piper, oh my gosh! And it was so cool seeing my old tag partner Scott Hall there at the time. And I remember, funny story, right? I'm sitting there with agents in the office there, and I just signed with the company, and here comes Hall and Ash. They walk inside, and Scott looks at me and said, he calls me George, right? From my gorgeous George days, and says, "Hey George, remember we used to beat up Lawler in Memphis?" Oh man, oh man, I miss Scott, man. He was good people too. He was a good dude,
Yeah.
um, and
He,
very knowledgeable about the business too. Scott was.
yeah, he definitely was a talent that I think is still to this day missed and fondly remembered. Um, had some great matches, especially that ladder match with Shawn Michaels. Just remains so iconic and legendary. Um, and I think that his work um, as part of the NWO really set the tone for the Monday Night Wars because it was a really hot period. And you were a part of that, getting to be in that locker room, working with him, working with Kevin Nash as well, and all the guys that were there. Um, Talk to me about the experiences during that time. Was the locker room and the Monday Night War, were you guys really like going, wow, this is some pretty big stuff. We're competing against the WWE and we gotta put out our best product, better put our best foot forward to deliver something that fans are gonna want to watch, tune in every week.
I was very fortunate to come in when I did WCW during that Monday Night War period. It was electric, red hot, and listen, and it's like I said, the best of the best from all over the world. I mean, one night you can be in the ring with Rey Mysterio, and the next night with uh, Kevin Nash or Barry Windham or Kurt Hennig, and Bret Hart came in later on, and oh my gosh, I mean, it was like the who's who of the industry time, and the fact that WCW really gave WWE a run for its money during Monday Wars. I mean, it was a great time to be alive in the industry, a great time to be a wrestling fan, and that time period really paved the way for a lot of us in the industry, the boys and girls in the industry. So
Now, how long were you a part of WCW? Were you there until the very end?
I contractually I was there for like 3 years, about 3 years, and I my contract had wrapped up right before that final year or so, I think,
Mm.
and in which that was when they were having their financial woes, and during the Nitros and Thunders in the same night, and in which there was really the way things were going, there was no point in resigning when things were going like they were. I mean, it was a sad time, and I know a lot of talent there when during that time period was pretty miserable because things weren't going as well as it was. But you know, um, like I said, at the time I was there with everybody, it was at the time I always cherish, and just being a part of that WCW family was something I'll never forget. And you know, I always reminisce about that with any WCW alumni I bump into, and just the fact that you had the best of the best from all over the world there, and it was an awesome feeling at the time. I mean, we were like on MTV and everything back then.
It really
And,
was. It was like mainstream pop culture. WWF, WCW, WWE, ECW, WWE, WCW was just everywhere, everywhere. You couldn't escape it, and it was really a hot period. It really was.
absolutely. And I'll never forget it. And it's great that WWE has the Peacock network where you can relive a lot of the great WCW memories, as well as they have a new channel now on YouTube.
Yeah, the vault. You could go back and watch all the old memories, all the old footage, and get to relive some of those matches, getting to watch them again. It's incredible to see the large body of content that is out now. Getting to watch it because it just brings you back. Just brings you back to those times. So we'll always have them, at our fingertips.
Oh yeah, it's great. And it kind of rejuvenates you to see people react to the era that you're from, right?
Hmm.
The newer generation react and get their feedback off of that, and it makes you feel good knowing that you had a hand in helping pave the way for today's generation and today's movement in the wrestling industry.
Who are some guys that you watch and are going, man, I wish I could have a match with this person?
Oh gosh, Kurt Angle isn't one guy I always want to be in the ring with. I have a lot of respect for Kurt Angle.
Hmm.
Um, you had Roman Reigns is another guy. Um, Seth Rollins is tremendous. Uh, I mean, there's quite a few out there. I mean, like Sami Zayn, and you had Kevin Owens and all that, and then Randy Orton. Oh gosh, he would be great to be in a ring with, hands down. I have so much respect for Randy and his style and the way he does things. It's in the ring. I mean, no wasted motion. I mean, a lot like Bret Hart, if you will, where I mean everything means something. You know, he doesn't do anything hastily, and he always tells a great story in the ring.
Yeah, those are some really good ones. You'd mentioned Randy Orton, really fluid when with his movements, getting to work just a unique style. Um, you could put him against anybody, and I think he it would be match of the night.
Oh, hands down,
Would be.
hands down. And I've been very fortunate to have helped some newer talents in the industry today. Dex Harwood with FTR.
Hmm.
I help I helped him with his start in the wrestling industry. Um, Tracy Taylor now. I think she's dabbled in WoW as well. Eric Shea, who wrestles out in the Maryland area, and various others. Yeah, you have the like West Virginia talents like Jason to give Kincaid, who I've had the luxury of being in the ring with him, and I mean, oh my gosh, that guy can do anything. I mean, that's why they call him the gift because he's he's such a talent, and uh, quite a few others that I've given advice to and helped out along the way. So I kind of their success, I kind of live vicariously to their happiness, success, because it is, you keep that machine rolling, you keep that cycle going, and the fact that you had a hand in helping someone be happy and achieve their passion, it's an awesome feeling. It really is.
Yeah, and when you talk about paying it forward, I know you've done a lot of charity work over the course of your time outside of the business. What kinds of things have you done to help out in your community?
Well, I've been ambassador for the Chamber of Commerce. We help launch businesses, ribbon cuttings. Also helped out with a DARE program for the kids, career days for the students in the schools, children's hospitals, and walks for cancer and Alzheimer's. Uh, I'm, is any way I can give back to the community, I'm all about it. And to help the younger generation, I used to do a lot of work helping the youth programs, uh, like in the state of North Carolina and all of that. And so, you know, I mean, the children are our future, and we need to you know, look after them at all costs. Because without the children, we don't have a future. So, I mean, we need to keep that ball rolling and keep life going and help everyone make the best life that they can. Because I mean, there's saying the old saying, "There's no room at the top." There's plenty of room at the top, and there's plenty of room for people to do well and be successful.
Yeah, that's very well put. You talk about helping youth programs. What are some things that you've done in those programs to give back? And if you can elaborate on that, uh, what kinds of things? Just kind of give some examples.
Well, I've helped do some PR and I've helped out with different games, different events, pushed for athletic programs uh, to commence and to flourish for different sports in schools and community, uh, and as well as parental programs where the parents could have more involvement, per se, in their child's education and help teach students the importance of education in the classrooms and to know that through what you do that you couldn't have do what you do without proper education. And so to help inspire students to go after their dreams and goals and passions in life and decide what they want to do in life. So
That's very important, helping students and going to schools and educating kids about different things. And what is it about helping out the children? I know you talked about it, they are the future, but what is it about it that gives you a good feeling when you go to visit these kids?
well, the fact that you can put smiles in their faces, the fact that they look up to you, the fact that they want to learn and they want to be involved. Um, and so a lot of times we make the mistake of not letting them be involved, and they're hungry for it. They're hungry to learn. They want to live a good life. They want to make the most out of every moment, and we should encourage that. We should encourage our kids instead of tearing them down. We should be lifting them up because the more you lift up the younger generation, the more that it's going to make life better all around for everybody.
Do the kids know about your wrestling background, or do they want to check out your work?
Yes, they know about the wrestling, the acting, the whole nine yards. I'm very transparent, and they feed off that because children are a lot like performing in front of an audience. You know, they could see through you, right through you, and you have to be genuine to get your point across. Because if you're not genuine with the audience, they're not going to be genuine with you. Just like children, If you're not genuine with them, they pick up on that. So you got to be open and honest, and whatever you do, you got to do with conviction. Because if you believe in yourself, then they'll believe in you.
Yeah, I mean, you have to really find it in your heart to set a good example and demonstrate the importance of showing respect and boundaries and anything, using your imagination and being creative and being a good citizen and all these different skills that will help the children uh, build their foundations as they go through life. So it's really good that you're able to help them out and make a difference in their life because we need people out there, doing those things. So kudos to you.
Oh, thank you so much. We're all intertwined in this life together. And we all share this earth together, and we should help one another, look out for one another, and lift each other up. Because the more we lift others up, that'll be lifting ourselves up as well.
Hmm.
So like I said, we're all connected. I mean, the whole universe is connected, right?
Exactly. Well, this has been wonderful getting the chance to speak with you. I want to say thank you, Rob. It means a lot to me and to my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find more about you on social media? If you want to plug your pages, feel free.
Oh, thank you. Well, I just want to say thank you for everyone that's listening, and thank you for your support and love and prayers. Uh, I'm currently dealing with some medical issues at the time, but I'm slowly healing in a much safer place. I have a GoFundMe you can check out on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Stro the Maestro, just like it sounds. Um, Also on YouTube at youtube.com/@Stro Maestro. I'm on TikTok at Rob Kellum, and I'm on X at Destro, as well as Instagram at Maestro Rob Kellum. And thank God bless you all, and uh, thank you, and never stop believing in yourself.
Definitely. Thanks again, Rob, and you're more than welcome to come back.
Oh, thank you for having me. God
Uh,
bless you, man.
all right, you too. Take care. This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.